Once again, I'm Bob Riggio. With me is Richard Kahler, one of our veterans located throughout the Black Hills. And again, Richard, this is what we want to do. New Center One wants to do this. We want to acknowledge our veterans, and we have many veterans in the Black Hills area. And we want to allow them to tell their stories. And that's how we feel that one way we feel that we could honor our veterans. So first of all, tell us a little bit about your background in the military.
I went to the University of Missouri, and while there I enrolled in the ROTC, was in that program for 4 years.
Reserve Officer
Training Corps.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, and upon graduation I received my rank as second lieutenant. Part of the agreement was then I get to go into the service.
What was the draft in force back then, or can you remember?
There was a draft in force, I believe, but I was in college. I didn't come to me. But anyway, I graduated with a degree, and then I went into the Army and reported to Fort Sill, where I went through training for 3 months as a forward observer.
Fort Sill's in Oklahoma, if I remember
Lawton,
right.
yes.
Oklahoma.
Yep. I was given a ticket to enjoy a ride over the ocean to Japan, and
was it enjoyable?
It was. Yeah, it was. It was, for me, it was good. For some, it wasn't, but I never got seasick. So anyway, so I got to Japan, went through more training there in Sendai, and then in June of 1953, there was a breakthrough in Korea, so our division was called back into battle.
What was your duties over in Korea?
Well, my duty in Korea would have been was a forward observer, which means I would have been in front of the troops directing fire on the enemy. And at that time in Korea, the life expectancy of a forward observer was less than 1%.
So you were being a forward observer, basically you are in enemy territory. You are in front of the front lines.
Right. Yeah, and from what I learned from there, I wouldn't be up there very long.
No, not less than 1%.
But that never happened to me. And I believe the Lord was working in my life, and that's where I became to have a great respect for sergeants. We were in Daegu, Korea. We were loaded. Our trucks had the engines running. We were just waiting for the command to move to the front lines when a sergeant came through the ranks. And he was calling my name, and I answered. And he said, "Sir, grab your stuff off the truck and follow me."
Okay, let me just stop you right here. So you were prepared to be a forward observer.
Yeah.
You had your stuff on the truck, ready to go to the front lines, and then you would have been gone further to observe the enemy.
Yeah.
But the sergeant came and
Sergeant came and said, "Follow me, and I'll follow a sergeant anywhere." And so I did. I said, "Where are we going?" He said, "We're going to the railroad station." And I said, "Am I going north or south?"
Which way did you want to go, north or south?
Well, south was away from the battle. And so he said, "You're going south to Busan, and once there you'll report to the commanding general, and you're taking over the public information office." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yep." And so I went south, and I took over the position of information officer, and that's where I spent the rest of the war.
Who made that decision? It wasn't the sergeant that made that decision. Your name came up somehow. Dick, do you know how your name came up to be pulled away from being a forward observer?
At that time, there were no computers, no fancy way to get names and numbers that I know of. And that's where I say it was a God thing, in that my secondary MOS in the military was journalism.
Now, MOS means military occupation specialty.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And my degree from Missouri was journalism. Somehow they found that on a card.
Thank goodness.
And that's why I say I think the Lord was watching after me, and whatever was happened, and So I went down there and relieved a major who wanted to go home. I was very happy, had a very small crew, and we put out the paper and everything for the division. I was blessed beyond words. Had I fulfilled my original job, I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you.
Did you volunteer to be a forward observer, or is it they just drew straws and your straw happened to be the shortest?
When you went through the Army ROTC at Missouri, it happened to be an artillery plan there, and you were automatically in that category. I'm quite sure some of the guys ended up as motor officers and different jobs, but most of us ended up as forward observers. I really didn't think that much about it, except I know that what happened not only blessed me, it blessed a whole bunch of people, because I considered myself a lousy spotter with the field glass and such. So I don't think I was very good at that, being a forward observer. So
did they go out by themselves, or did you have a little platoon with you?
There's 2 or 3 of you, a radio man and such. So yeah. So anyway, it's so I found out years later that say the Lord intervened. At the time it happened, I couldn't figure out what. I didn't question it. I was just glad to be headed south.
Isn't that amazing, though? I mean, your life path, you think it's laid out for you, but something along that path intervenes and changes that path. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good. In your case, probably saved your life.
Yes, it definitely did, and as a result, there's 25 of us around town, so from the family. So yeah.
And they need to thank that computer card or that MOS that you had.
Yeah, it was. So that was my experience. I had to tell my grandchildren that I never fired at anybody. I never was fired at. I was in the war, but I had no battle scars. So not like some of these guys that really went through pure hell. For me, it was that at the time this happened, I did not have a personal relationship with the Lord, but He has been along my side my whole life, and I've been so blessed to be here. Rapid City, everything has been so good to me and my family that, as I say, I just have no complaints at all.
We're so thankful you are here in Rapid City in the Black Hills.
Well, I'm proud to be here.
Thank you, sir.
You
Thank
bet,
you for
Bob.
the time,
Yeah.
and thank you for your service.
Sure, you bet. Okay.